This whole Tucker Carlson interviewing Nick Fuentes thing has completely blown up the internet. Loads of people have had their 2 cents worth about it. And obviously, I had my 2 cents worth to say yesterday with Tucker Carlson pretty much saying that he hates evangelical Christian Zionists, which means that he hates Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk was an evangelical Christian Zionist. But there's something very interesting and rather concerning that is happening in conservatism. And if we're not careful, we're going to end up in a war. And it's starting at the moment because of people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. These major voices, bad faith voices, I should say, that have infiltrated conservatism, and they're trying to make the new conservative movement. I don't know if you guys have noticed that at all, but I certainly have. It's just been rather interesting. The things that they are espousing at the moment, all the ideas, all the rhetoric that's been going on, has got nothing to do with what conservatives actually believe. If you are a real conservative and you believe in the values that the Bible has to say, then that's what I would call a true conservative, someone that conserves and preserves all of the things that are actually right in what Jesus spoke about. But what I am starting to see are these big voices like Tucker Carlson, for example, and Candace Owens. They're not only aligning themselves with people that, well, we don't actually like anything they have to say, and they've got nothing to do with what the Bible has to say. It's actually quite disgusting and evil. But they're now trying to tell us as conservatives that we aren't actually conservatives. If we support Israel, then we're not conservative, apparently. If we disagree with Nick Fuentes, and if we say that it's not a good idea to be sharing his views on a large scale, apparently we're not conservative. If we don't want to align with the alt-right, then apparently we're not conservative anymore. Something very dangerous is going on. All of these lies that are being spread by Tucker Carlson, by Candace Owens, is rather concerning. And it's been amplified more so since Charlie Kirk's death. I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but I certainly have. The shift away that Tucker Carlson is doing from supporting Israel, the massive shift away from it, I should say. Same with Candy Owens, because apparently they've noticed something about Israel. Oh, dear. Israel is not who we thought they were. So as a Christian, it's my duty to go against them. You know what's very popular at the moment? Bashing Israel. It gets them money. It appears that these people that call themselves conservatives are just doing it for money and money's sake, but they don't realize that they're becoming just like the radical leftists. In fact, worse. They're becoming just like them, but worse, because then they're proclaiming the name of Jesus Christ, but they've got nothing to do with Jesus, nothing to do with Jesus' teachings either. They're bad faith. And what's concerning to me is they're trying to kick out anyone like Seth Dillon, for example, anyone that has any level of grounding in them, Brandon Tatum as well, they will go after them. These men, and even women, Ali Bestaki as well, that actually are proper Christians of integrity and godly character. They will go after them. And they'll accuse them of things that is just utterly outrageous. So I think this mainstreaming of Nick Fuentes is not a mistake. Now that Charlie's gone, they don't really care about upholding his legacy at all. What can Charlie do about it? Unfortunately, he's no longer here. But those that were actually close with Charlie and still want to uphold his legacy of being a Christian Zionist, the narrative has shifted away from saying, well, Charlie was changing his viewpoint on Israel because he got a little bit angry at the Jewish donors because they got upset that Charlie was platforming Tucker. I mean, so be it. It's their money. And now look what's happening with Tucker, saying that he hates evangelical Christian Zionists. Apparently they're the worst kind. See, we need to be very, very careful and very mindful of this inner war that is being started by these bad faith individuals. And if we're not careful, they will take over. And they'll claim, oh, we're just afraid that these new ideas. No. Hang on a minute. New ideas? Say that again. What are these new ideas exactly? That Hitler apparently is good. Stalin's apparently good. That's supposed to be in line with conservative values. Hang on a minute. No. Or that, according to Nick Fuentes, it's the women's fault that marriages are failing. It's all the women, man. Sound like someone that is actually wise. The guy's 26. He's young. And yet we're platforming him. We're giving him the biggest voices that are on the right and saying, okay, vulnerable minds, listen to this young man. Does this sound like a young man that I want to actually follow in the conservative movement? He calls himself on the right, a Christian, but is this someone that I truly, truly want to follow and believe anything that he has to say? Because I guarantee you it's not someone that we should be following or agreeing with anything that he has to say. Now, I can't force anyone to stop watching Nick Fuentes or Tucker Carlson or anyone else. I'm not trying to at all. But we've got to be very, very careful and use critical thinking. It's like we've forgotten how to be critical thinkers. See, this is what I mean. You have people that call themselves conservative that will bash Israel and then side with Nick Fuentes and then go, Nick Fuentes is actually better than Dave Rubin because Dave Rubin did surrogacy with his partner. Dave Rubin is gay. So Dave Rubin can't be conservative because he's gay and he did surrogacy, which I disagree with. So according to this person, become a saint, we cannot let these people tell us what is moral and what is not. But yet somehow Nick Fuentes, a Jew-hating, Nazi-sympathizing Stalin lover, is apparently able to? What? No. You know what the thing is? Both are bad. Dave Rubin, I disagree with his lifestyle choice, but it's not like he's out there every 5 seconds telling us to be gay and to go do surrogacy. It was his choice. I disagree with it. Everything else that he has been saying, for the most part, I agree with. He has been fighting, I guess, for a lot of conservative values. He is on the side of Israel. Nick Fuentes is not. Now, yes, he has made the wrong choices. I can't change that at all. But the problem that we've got today, it's almost like these are the people that we've got that are leading the conservative movement, but they're both bad. I would much rather support and listen to someone like Seth Dillon, for example, Ali Bestaki, those sorts of people actually espousing what it means to be a true Bible-believing conservative. And sure, we may have disagreements here and there, but that's the whole point. At least they've got good character. At least they're following what the Bible has to say. Especially Seth Dillon, Joel Berry. These men and women. There's quite a few of them. But we've been lied to. Pastor Greg Loki goes, Tucker Carlson is a spineless coward. His selective interviews are only for the purpose of spewing Jew hate. He's terrified of real conversations and questions, so he edits and crafts them to fit his wicked narrative. He's a total plant to destroy the conservative movement. I've warned you for the last couple of years, Tucker is not who he pretends to be. God is going to expose him. I miss Charlie Kirk. I really do. Because at least Charlie Kirk was a true man of God. At least Charlie Kirk stood on principles, on morals, and on values that Christians can actually look up to and go, yes, I love that. And no, he was not perfect. No one is. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. I will make mistakes. I will get things wrong. And I'm happy to admit when I get things wrong. The problem is, in today's day and age, we're being told that someone like Ben Shapiro or Dave Rubin is not conservative enough because, for example, Ben Shapiro isn't actually a Christian, so therefore he can't be conservative, or Dave Rubin is gay and he's going against what the Bible has to say. But yet they have been fighting to preserve a vast majority of the Christian values more so than what Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes are even trying to do. I don't think that bashing Israel, God's chosen people, is the right way to go about things. But of course, they will try and make distinctions between the nation of Israel versus today's Israeli government and all that sort of other stuff. And look, I'm not saying that we can't criticize Israel. I'm not saying that we can't do that at all. We definitely can. But the level of Jew hate that is coming out of Tucker and Nick Fuentes' mouth, when you are saying that Hitler was a good guy, you and I have got a massive problem. Just saying. That's what Nick Fuentes is doing. But then everyone's going, everyone's just afraid that, Nick Fuentes is right about things. What's he right about exactly? Have a listen to Tim Pool. Tim Pool makes a point, and I'll say something after you guys have seen it. Have a watch.
Let's just be an honest criticism. Do you think he should have pressed him like he pressed Ted Cruz? Like, did he miss the boat? Because I don't really think so, but what do you think?
I'm not here to police Tucker Carlson's opinions. Tucker Carlson can have whatever opinions he wants. And it seems like there are a lot of people who want to tell Tucker or tell you or tell me what opinions we're supposed to have. And so the fact that they're outraged over this Nick thing is totally fake. I'll tell you why. Because I've had on my show communists that are in favor of abortions up to 9 months and sex changes for kids. And people on the right, they go, yeah, you debate. Man, that clip was awesome, Tim. And then we announced that we're going to have Nick on the show, and they're attacking me and they're insulting me. We haven't even had him on the show yet. Like he rescheduled, yeah. and they're posting like, oh my God, look how Tim has fallen, blah blah blah. You don't even know what we're going to say yet. So I don't believe any of the Tucker criticism is legitimate. I think they just don't like Nick's opinions. And I'll tell you what the truth is. And this is bad for the right. They're acting like Nick is such a threat, you can't interview him. Mm-hmm. But they don't care when you interview communists. And I think it's really obvious why, because these conservatives know that you bring on a communist, no one's going to agree with them. But they fear you bring on Nick Fuentes and people might. That's why they don't want you to platform him.
No, that's exactly right, because Nick Fuentes is actually likable and his arguments are actually, they align more with the audience that they're trying to be a part of. So I think that's why Nick is a bigger threat than Hassan Piker, and it's obvious why you can see the reaction. So, Tim, we got a big announcement, the culture war, the pimp on a blimp. You've been so gracious to show here at the Blaze. We got a lot of things cooking, but, we're just going to be very vague about stuff. But
you know why? We don't care why you interview communists, because we know that it's wrong. A vast majority of conservatives know that interviewing communists, what they're saying is wrong. When you have someone like Nick Fuentes, for example, a vast majority of the stuff that he says is wrong, but we're platforming him as if he's right, even though he's wrong. And we're making it out like he's right. There's no challenge whatsoever. It's just, Nick, because you claim that you're on the right, fantastic. Even though He is a Nazi sympathizer, even though he hates the Jews. And there's so many other things. He's like a racist. There's so many other things about Nick that is not good. And I mean, I will say there's been a couple of times where he has been right on certain things, and I have pointed that out. But a vast majority of the things that he actually believes in, I don't believe in it. But there's a massive difference between platforming someone that everyone knows, unless you're on the radical left, this is wrong, versus platforming someone on the right and acting as if he is right anyway, even though he's not. And then saying, this is the new conservative. This is the new conservative ideals. So no, the outrage is not fake. The outrage is very well deserved, because why should we have to put out on a very large stage and a very large platform, by the way, these very hateful and disgusting beliefs and ideals, and then be made to go, you must listen to this, or you not must listen to it. It's like, now this is the new conservative movement. Now you must align yourself with the alt-right. That's the way they're moving towards. It's not, we're not saying you can't platform the person, but if you're not going to have any pushback of ideas at all and say, well, this is actually wrong and here's why, which Tucker didn't do, then we have a problem. So for Tim Pool to go, well, the outrage is fake and gay, I'm using Candace's terminology there, it's not. We're not afraid at all about whether or not Nick Fuentes is right. We know that he's wrong. A vast majority of people that actually have their brains screwed on straight know that he's wrong. Our problem is the fact they're platforming him like he's right and saying, welcome to the new conservative, people. No, thank you. They're getting us to listen to him and get used to this being a new normal for conservatism. And sorry, I don't let foxes into hen houses. There's a message that one of my pastors preached many, many years ago. I've never forgotten it. But a little fox spoils the entire vine. And I don't think that these people like Tucker, Candace, the ones that have lied and started a war in conservatism, I don't think they really care about those little foxes that are spoiling the conservative vine at the moment. And if we're not careful, conservatism will just see ya. But you know what? Not under my watch. Not as long as I have, even though it's a small platform, it's still a platform nonetheless. It can still make a difference. It can still make a dent. And that's why I'm hammering this so hard, because I'm sick and tired of seeing these people, like even Dave Smith, for example, on Tucker Carlson interviewing Nick Fuentes. Have a watch of this.
I guess in like a larger sense, like the bigger symbol, the thing that I love about it is that you see all the neocons now freaking out. And it's like, yeah, you don't control the conversation anymore. And even if that means, that Nick Fuentes gets the thing and whatever, I don't care. You guys don't get to control the conversation anymore. And you know what? Nick Fuentes makes a lot of really good points. Okay, there's some things that we disagree on, but you know what? He makes some really good points on the other stuff. And I actually thought it was very interesting. Tucker got really into his story. And then I was kind of interesting to see Tucker go, oh yeah, that's what they do to people who criticize Israel. They try to ruin you. And look, they ended up making you an actual Jew hater or something like that. And then they end up talking that through. And Nick was kind of similar to the way he was on my podcast, where he's just like, no, I'm not. He's like, no, I'm not saying it's all Jews, and I'm not preaching racial hatred, and that's not what I'm saying. And so if nothing else, you get this guy on record saying that, people get to hear both sides of it. I just always thought, and I think you agree with me, but I'll turn it over to you here, Rob. But it was always so, if you want any type of positive outcome, the last thing you ever want to do is heighten up tensions and heighten up censorship and get everybody crazy. What you want to do is have a release valve. Hey, let's have a conversation about this. That's the path forward. Like, let's talk about these things. And it seems to me that the only people who freak out about platforming, much like the woke left used to do, now it's the ones calling others woke right, but it's the Zionist right doing it. The only reason why people ever want to suppress speech and to silence conversations is because they go, we'll lose if you can hear from the other side. Because everybody will probably agree that we're the ones who are wrong here and need to be left behind. And that's why you want to shut down conversation. No other reason.
There's a reason why Charlie Kirk called Nick Fuentes vermin. There's a reason why he didn't want to platform him. But yeah, now that he's gone, who's going to stop people from actually platforming a Nazi sympathizer, a Jew hater? Who's going to stop him? And Dave Smith, like the neocons, apparently I'm a neocon because I actually want to stand for truth and what's right. Call me whatever the hell you want to call me. I don't really care. As long as I know what I'm doing is right, based on the word of God, that's all that matters. And as Charlie Kirk was, sold out for Christ, his life meant something in conservatism. He held conservative values. I hold conservative values. And sure, we didn't agree on everything, but at least he stood for something. And what he stood for was right. What Nick Fuentes and all these other people were standing for is wrong. And I won't stand for it. I won't. Anyway, that's enough from me, but you guys take care. Be blessed. And I'll see you all in the next video.